Hello friends, today I'm going to be sharing with you a video talking a little bit about my family's traditions for Christmas then when I was a child and now as an adult. Now I learned about this, it's like a collaboration from Frugal Mom Holly, and I will link her channel in the description box below. I'm not sure if there's a playlist somewhere, and I'm not really sure who started this collaboration, but anyway, I saw Holly's video and I thought it sounded like something fun to do, so I'm going to do it this morning. I've got my cup of coffee here and we'll do this little chat while it's quiet, hopefully. There's some roosters crowing outside, but hopefully that's all the noise that we'll hear today. If you're a regular subscriber of mine, you know that I always have dogs barking and birds singing in the background, and if not that, then I have roosters outside crowing. So I think I'll talk a little bit about some of the pre-holiday traditions. Dogs barking. Like things that we would do before Christmas. As a child, we didn't really do that much. We were in school, so we did the typical school things of the Christmas concert and the Christmas party and things like that. But at home, we didn't do all that much. Both of my parents worked. My mom was a stay-at-home mom until all of her children were in school, and then she went to work. So both of my parents worked, and so we didn't really have a whole lot of time, and I know my parents were tired by the time the end of the day got around. And weekends were always busy with cleaning the house and getting ready for Sunday, because my dad was a pastor, and so there was lots of preparations for Sunday on Saturdays. So we didn't do all that much as far as like baking cookies or any of that kind of thing. Have a cup of drink. Now that's not to say that my mom didn't bake cookies, but it wasn't something that we set aside a special day to do. And then of course when I got older, if I felt like baking cookies, my mom always would let me. But now as an adult, we kind of have a tradition of doing a big Christmas cookie baking day. I've done it pretty much every year since Scott and I got married, and then as my kids have gotten older, of course they helped. There for a while Travis was in that age where he would help with the cookies, but now he's not interested, so he doesn't. But it's a good thing that Olivia and I do together, and it's a fun tradition. Now I do foresee that tradition ending at some point as my kids move out. Once my kids move out, I don't have any need to be baking a bunch of cookies. But that is a tradition that we do right now. Christmas Eve at my home when I was a child, we didn't do anything special. All of my extended family lived too far away to actually go visit on Christmas Eve, so we just basically stayed home. We would watch Christmas movies, and of course back in those days we didn't have VCRs and DVDs and all of that. We would just watch whatever was televised, but the TV channels were good about televising a lot of Christmas specials back in those days, and so we would watch Christmas specials. We'd go to bed kind of early because we were very excited about the next day, and we would have a difficult time falling asleep, as most kids do. Now, Christmas Eve, it has evolved over the years. When Scott and I were first married, we would go to his parents for Christmas Eve, and then as the years have gone by, his mother passed away 4 years after we were married, and then his father passed away, I think it's probably been like 8 years ago already. Time goes by so fast. So of course as time went by, after his mother passed away, then it just kind of, the family get-togethers on Christmas Eve at his parents' house kind of fizzled away, which is kind of typical, I think, for when the mom passes away. And then on Christmas Day, when Scott and I were first married, we would have our own Christmas here at home, and then in the afternoon we'd go to my parents' house and have a big family Christmas on my side of the family. And that went on for many, many years. But then my mother passed away 2.5 years ago. So our last big Christmas get together on my side of the family was the year before my mother passed away. Her last Christmas she was in the hospital, so we didn't have a get together that year, and then once she passed away it kind of just fizzled out. Even though my father is still living, it's just like I said, once the mothers pass away or the grandmothers, these types of things typically fizzle out in families. So now what we do for Christmas Eve is that our church has a Christmas Eve service, and so we'll go to that. It's not a midnight service, it's just, you know, evening service. And so we'll go to the Christmas Eve service, and then after that we'll just get in our car and just drive around and look at all of the Christmas lights. And then we'll come home and we always watch It's a Wonderful Life. And then by the time that movie's over, it's time for everyone to go to bed. Once the kids are in bed, even now as young adults, we, Scott and I will put the presents underneath the Christmas tree. We never put presents under the tree early, and we never open any presents on Christmas Eve. I never did as a child, and we never have as an adult. But we'll put everything under the tree, and we'll stuff the stockings, and then we'll go to bed. So that brings us to Christmas Day, and I touched a little bit about what we used to do early in our marriage. As a child, Christmas Day was always so much fun. Another drink of coffee. Now, if you have young ones listening, I'm going to be talking about the big S man, so you might want to have them be distracted and go somewhere else. But as a child, I was never taught that there was a Santa. We never were said that he was anything bad or anything like that, or that it was bad for a child to believe in Santa, but we were just never taught that he was real. We were taught that he was a real man, Saint Nicholas, and that this, but the big jolly elf that lives in the North Pole was just something fun to pretend, but that other children did believe in him, so we were not to discuss it at school or, you know, ruin any other children's beliefs about Santa. But we were taught that he was just pretend. And that's what we have taught our children as well, that Santa is just pretend. I love Santa. I think he's awesome. I really enjoy decorating with Santa figurines, so I have nothing against the jolly old elf, but he is just pretend, and I, you know, felt that I should make sure my children realized he was just pretend. But on Christmas Day, which was kind of funny, when I was growing up, we would all of us kids would gather in one bedroom. And we'd get up and we'd sneak into my brother's bedroom, and we'd wait. And because my brother's bedroom was the closest bedroom to the kitchen, and so we'd all sneak in there and we'd sit and we'd wait, because we weren't allowed to come out and open up our stockings until we heard my dad say, "Ho, ho, ho, Merry Christmas." And once he said that, we were able to come out and we'd go and we'd open up our stockings, and we would have a traditional, you know, breakfast, the same breakfast every year. We'd have all homemade. My mother was an excellent cook and she loved to cook. We would have like a pineapple Danish and sausage gravy over biscuits, and that's what we would have for breakfast on Christmas morning. And then after breakfast, we'd all gather in the living room and we would open presents, and we opened one at a time, and we always started with the youngest child and worked our way up to the oldest, and then we'd just go in turns until all the presents were gone. And that way it kind of drug the day out longer, and we all got to appreciate what everyone else got. And so that was a tradition that we had growing up. And then the rest of Christmas Day, we didn't go anywhere. We just sat around, and many times we would just all stay in our pajamas all day, and we would enjoy our family. And a lot of times we'd do a puzzle together, or we'd play a game. Our family wasn't a giant game player, but we would play some games on Christmas sometimes. Now, like I said before, we used to go to my parents on Christmas morning but or Christmas afternoon. But now I'll just talk about what we do now. Many of the traditions are the same. My kids can't come out of their room, and we don't do the ho 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 Merry Christmas, but I'll turn on Christmas music, and as soon as they hear the Christmas music playing, they're allowed to come out of their rooms, and then they come and they open up their stockings, and we have breakfast together. I don't make as big of a breakfast as my mom did. I don't enjoy cooking. My mom enjoyed cooking. I don't really enjoy it, especially on holidays. I'd rather just take it easy and enjoy the day. But I do make the traditional pineapple Danish that I grew up eating as a child that is so good, and we only have it on Christmas. And I also make cinnamon rolls. My kids prefer the cinnamon rolls, especially when they were younger. As they've gotten older, they do like the pineapple Danish too. But I'll make homemade cinnamon rolls on Christmas Eve, and the pineapple Danish on Christmas Eve, and then on Christmas Day all we have to do is either warm it up if we want it warm, or just eat it at room temperature. Oh, I guess there's no time of day that I can sit down to do a video without the dogs barking. I'm sorry, but I've tried videoing it late at night. Doesn't work, they bark, so it's just part of having dogs, I guess. Then after we have breakfast, we sit down in the living room and we do the same thing I did as a kid. We did as a kid when I was a kid. We start with the youngest and we go to the oldest. Now, when I was growing up, we had many more children. I have five siblings, so there were 6 kids plus my parents. And of course, I only have 2 kids, and then Scott and I. So, but we do take turns. We start with Olivia and work our way up to Scott, and then we just go in a circle till all of the presents are gone. Nowadays, since we don't go anywhere on Christmas, we just hang around all day in our jammies if we want to, relaxing, watching movies, and eating lots of good food. And then the last thing I want to talk about is what we would eat for dinner on Christmas. You know, I don't remember specifically what we would have as a kid growing up. I'm almost positive we would have ham, because we always had turkey at Thanksgiving, so I think we had ham at Christmas. And then we'd have just mashed potatoes and gravy and a vegetable, and my mom would make these wonderful yeast rolls. And then we'd just have, I don't think she'd make any special desserts because we always had so much sweets throughout the whole season, and so we just have cookies and whatever sweets were in the house for dessert. And that would be our Christmas dinner growing up. And I do kind of the same thing with my family. We have ham, and then sometimes if I feel like doing mashed potatoes, we'll do mashed potatoes, but usually we'll do baked potatoes. And then I make a Jell-O salad. It's the same Jell-O salad that I make at Thanksgiving. I love that salad so much, so I make it for Thanksgiving and for Christmas, and then that's the only 2 times of the year that I have it. And then I don't make yeast rolls. I make those at Thanksgiving. But at Christmas, I want things to be a little bit easier, so I just have brown and serve rolls, and then we'll have a vegetable. And this year I'm going to be making, you guys have probably heard of this dessert. It's where it's got the pretzel crust and then like a cream cheese layer and then a strawberry Jell-O layer with chunks of strawberry in it. I'm going to be making that for dessert this year for my family. I was able to find a dairy-free cream cheese, and so I'm going to try that recipe. I always thought it sounded delicious, but because of the cream cheese, I've never been able to try it. So, and it's a light dessert. A lot of times people eat that as a salad, but it is definitely more dessert-like, in my opinion. So that's what we're going to have for Christmas. But that's, you know, ham. We always have ham for Christmas, and then the side dishes sometimes vary. Another tradition that we do here in my home is I always make a big batch of Chex Party Mix, and we have that from the time I make it until whenever it's gone. I try to save a bowl of it for Christmas Day, but my son loves Chex Party Mix, so it's really hard to keep him out of it. But that is my goal, is to have at least some of it saved for Christmas Day. Okay friends, I think that is all of my traditions that I can think of that we do. I hope you enjoyed this video, and leave a comment in the comment section below of some of your special Christmas traditions that you do as a family, and how they've changed from the time you were a kid until now as an adult. I would love to hear some of your traditions as well. Thanks so much for watching, friends, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.